Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be a bit of a chatty get ready with me, and I'm going to be ranting about the new Netflix live action Winx Club. I have some thoughts and they're not good ones. Spoiler alert, in case you want to skip to the end. I don't like it. I'm not into it. Uh, I'll leave everything that's on my face down in the description box. Yeah, so if you want to see how I got this Christmas, ethereal Christmas elf kind of look is what I was going for, and watch me rant and rave about a children's show, then stay tuned. Okay, so I have already done my eyebrows and then carved them out, and then also done my foundation just to kind of speed this up a little bit. I'm using the Uoma Beauty foundation in combination with my Fenty foundation because the Uoma Beauty, while I like the foundation itself, it's a smidge red for me, even though this is supposed to be the neutral one. So yeah, I'm using the Fenty one to kind of neutralize it just a little bit. For those of you that don't know, Winx Club is a show. It's a cartoon, and it was my cartoon of choice back when I was a little bitty baby. Not a baby, but like 7, 8 years old, right? It was my Saturday cartoon of choice. I used to watch it with my cousins at my grandma's house, and loved it. It was such a good show. And that's why I feel so passionate about this. It's just one of those things, like, it feels like a little bit like my childhood's under attack or something. I don't know. That's really dramatic, but I mean, I can't help how I feel. So I have broken this up into like 3 different sections that I'll try to stick to when I'm explaining my points as to why I feel some type of way about this. So the first one is, I wonder who this is actually for. Okay, so I think the core audience for that in 2004 would have been like ages like, what, like 7 or so to 12? And that was the core audience for the original Winx Club cartoon. I was in that core audience. I was the exact age range, you know, in 2004, which is 7 to 12-year-old girl. Anyways, so that would place the original audience for that ages like 23 to 28 now, myself included, right? So my question is, why does trying to age it up, making it older, equate to watering it down? Because, like, I mean, what we liked about the show, if we were watching it back then, was all the sparkly glitz and glamour, you know, girl power, all that was what made it good and worth watching. So, like, why are they watering it down just because we're older? Because realistically, I have to assume they're going for the nostalgia factor, because the kids who are watching that show now don't care about it. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Winx Club, it got, like, rebooted in, like, 2010 for a new audience, but, like, I don't think that's who they're going for with this older show, right? Because at most, those kids would be like, what, 10, like 12 now, 12 or 13 now. So, like, I may have done that math wrong, but you get what I'm saying. They're still kids now, so this older version of the Winx Club wouldn't really appeal to them. And then if you weren't a part of the original Winx Club fandom, you know, so if you weren't in that like 7 to 12-year-old range and now in the 23 to 28-year-old range now, you won't care about it anyway. So I assume it has to be us, the nostalgia people that they're going for. But why is it that like nostalgia has to equate to boring and like just aged up? Like, everything doesn't have to be aged up. Like, that's what I feel like. I don't know, like, I blame Riverdale for this, because Riverdale is what gave everybody the idea that if you want to make a kid's show like more appropriate for adults, you have to age it up and make all the actors like 30 and then add sex scenes in it. Like, it's just unnecessary. And I don't understand why they insist upon doing it, but I think Netflix is like the worst offender of this. It's just honestly kind of sad at this point. But yeah, I would say like that's one of my gripes about it, is the fact that I don't know who this is for. I have no clue who this is for, and I'm confused about it. Okay, so I went ahead and finished up my under eye concealer because I feel like I was taking kind of long on that. And now I'm gonna bronze. So my next point that I want to get into is what I think on Twitter was like the biggest point that a lot of people had, or one of the biggest points that a lot of people had and were disappointed in when it comes to the new Winx Club, and that is the fashions. Like, all we have is the preview, but it looks abysmal.
Oh shit.
where is the flavor? Like, one of the appeals of Winx Club, the original, was the sparkly, glittery, glamorous outfits. Like, I can't tell you, because I think, okay, here's the thing. I remember one year, I wanted to be a Winx Club character for Halloween. Like, that's how glamorous the outfits were. And like, it's like they just completely missed the mark on that, and I don't understand why. Because if you think about it, like, choices have to be made, okay? We all know that when it comes to movie making, show making, entertainment, choices have to be made. Why was that choice made? Because, like, I mean, if you can't watch the Winx Club for like a sparkly transformation into a fairy, then what can you watch that gives you a sparkly transformation into a fairy?
Upsetting me in my home, girl.
I want to know, personally, like, if there was ever a moment for them to just give up on this like realism aspect, because that's what Netflix does too. They want everything to be like realistic. But here's the thing, it's a cartoon about fairies with magical powers who live in other realms. Why does that have to be realistic? I'm so confused. Like, if this ever was a time for them to just give up this realism aspect, it was now. And so that's one of the bigger gripes I have with it, because like, that's just part of the appeal. Like, Winx Club, you know, like the whole like Winx Club, Bratz doll, some Barbie doll, like they were the original like IG baddies, like Instagram baddies. Like, they truly like set the stage. And so the fact that you're just gonna deny the opportunity for this to come upon your platform is honestly a travesty. It is a travesty. And then the sad part is, you know, the whole Y2K aesthetic, you know, fashion's a cycle. It comes back, everything comes back that ever was, like, nothing new under the sun. So that whole like Y2K aesthetic that the Winx Club embodies is in right now. And so there was just a missed opportunity for them to really capitalize on that. See, for y'all that don't know, my day job is like, communications and marketing. That's like my, you know, big girl job, so to speak. And so my marketing brain is on. It's like, if they really wanted to market this right, they could have fell full blown into that like Y2K aesthetic, right? And then they could have been, I know Netflix doesn't really do merch, but like they could have been doing like Bloom inspired looks, Stella inspired looks, Musa inspired looks. Like, they could have been doing all that. They could have really like rode this to the town goes home. Is that the right saying? Rode this to the cows come home. That's what I meant. And they're just like electing not to do that. And I want to know why. It's so confusing. But then it's like, even if you didn't want to run into that whole Y2K aesthetic thing, why do they have to be so bland? Like there's not an ounce of like just fun life into these outfits that what we've seen. Like, I don't understand why they had to water it down that much, even if they didn't want to go full on glitzy glamour. Like, I didn't see not a single morsel of glitter, sequins, color, period. And then when someone said on Twitter, which I thought was very accurate because that's exactly what I thought when I saw this, it's like, we already have sex education, which is another show I watch and it's actually pretty good if you watch, but like, that's exactly how they dress them. Like, they dress them like, like it's almost like they got the same costume designer from Sex Education and
like, oh, well, hey, what do you have extra over there? What are y'all not using? Oh, this rack, can we use it? Okay, good.
Like, it's just like kind of sad that it was just such a missed opportunity. All right, so I went ahead and primed my eyes, and I went ahead and got some stuff out for me to use, because if I like try to pick it on the spot, I'm probably gonna sit here for a really long time trying to decide what I want to do. So I already decided. So I got Unexpected right there from JDGLOW. And I'm really excited to use it because I haven't yet. I've had it for like 2 weeks. I just haven't sat down to use it yet. And then I've also got the Melt Cosmetics Vita palette that I'm gonna use. And so I'm going for something like holiday-y, Christmas, but not necessarily like straight up red and green. So I think I'm gonna do like a tealy kind of look with like a red under eye and a red lip. But we'll see what happens when I get there. Anyways, so back to my other point. My third one, which is another big one that a lot of people had for this, which was the casting. So it seems like they only put like maybe 2 brain cells worth of effort into casting this show. Like, the only ones that look semi-okay is like Stella and Bloom. But honestly, for the rest of them, if not for the hair colors, I wouldn't know who they're supposed to be. Yeah, it's like, and I don't know why they did that, because Winx Club is one of those shows that, because you're going off of a source material, everything's already like done for you. So I don't know why it was so hard for them to just get people that meet the criteria that was already there. And again, choices have to be made about this kind of thing. So I just don't understand like why this is happening this way. And then like, they didn't even keep in the color schemes that the Winx have. Like, if you've ever watched the show, and if not, I'll just tell you right here. The Winx Club, they have very like definite color schemes. Like all the characters have a very specific color scheme that they tend to stick within. Like Bloom's is kind of like a tealish kind of color with maybe like some yellow thrown in here and there. And then Stella's is like orange and yellow. And then Musa's kind of like reddish. And then Techna will be like a lavender and like a green. And then Flora is like pink and like green. So they all have their color schemes that they should stick with them, and they didn't even do that. So I'm like, why did y'all just like deprive us of any bit of joy? Like, has 2020 not been bad enough? I'm so confused. Then they didn't even keep all the characters. So in the original Winx Club that I watched, there is like 5-6 original characters. So there's Bloom, Stella, Musa, Techna, Flora, and then in season 2, depending on which dub you watched, because I think the show was originally premiered in Italy, so depending on which dub you watched, they have Aisha/Layla, which is like the black girl. The one I watched on 4Kids TV, is that even a channel anymore? I don't think it is, but the one that I watched, her name was Layla, so that's what I address her as, but I know that she's also known as Aisha in other dubs. And I think in the original Italian one, she's known as Aisha. So they kept Bloom and Stella. And I mean, since she's on the black one, I'm assuming that's Layla/Aisha. And then Musa. But they like got rid of Techna entirely. And then they changed Flora to be named like Terra. And it's weird. Like, I don't know what was the point of that, because that's the only character they like seem to have changed the name of for no reason other than they could, and I don't understand why. Like, Flora was fine. And from what I can tell, she seems to have the same powers as Flora, so it was like, what was the point? What was the point of any of this? What did you stand to gain from this, Netflix?
America, explain!
Sorry, I'm looking for a brush. That's why I keep looking over, because I don't know which one I want to use to do my lid color, which is, like I said, unexpected from JDGLOW. Very excited to use it. And then they made Flora plus size, which, you know, one thing I didn't like that I saw about a lot of people's gripes, they got really, really like fat phobic. And like, I'm fine with Flora being plus size. That's not my issue. But I do take issue with Terra. But I do take issue with the fact that, one, they made her plus size and then dressed her like so bad. Like, the whole cast is dressed badly, but they've done my good sis a whole disservice. Like, they really just threw her in a smock and called it a day. And I'm so mad at them for that. Like, they committed like the biggest like plus size fashion faux pas that there is, which is just to throw you in a smock and call it a day. Like I said, all of them are dressed pretty bad. Like, no, I wouldn't say anyone has like a good sense of style in the lineup that I saw, but hers is like especially bad. And again, it's not that I have issue with her being plus size, but you can still make her fashionable. Like, I don't understand why. And then not only that, they made her plus size, sorry, but they also like whitewashed her. You know, as far as like mid-2000s diversity quotas go, Winx Club pretty much falls in line with what was expected at the time. So they had 3 like white women and then 3 people of color. And usually like they always have like just a representative of each, or like some like minorities, they just have a representative. So they had, you know, the black girl, and then I think Musa, like I always read her as Asian, like East Asian. And I think most people also read her as East Asian. And she's that's what their implication is, she's supposed to be East Asian. And then Flora, who is, I always read her as Hispanic. Some people said South Asian, but either way, like a woman of color, that's how she's supposed to be. So not only did they change her to like a plus size girl, which isn't really the issue I have, it's the fact that they also whitewashed her. It's like weird how Netflix, they tout so much about like their diverse cast or whatever, but they kind of have to like choose which traits of diversity they allow in a said group. Like, they basically said like, okay, well, we have like a fully black girl, like a dark skinned fully black girl, so we can't possibly have like 2 full women of color. So we have to like trade off. Like, they always make trade-offs for no reason. Like, I would have been fine if they found like a plus size Hispanic woman. Like, I don't know why that was so hard. Or plus size South Asian woman. I think it's Hispanic though, because from what I've seen, I think someone said she's like modeled after JLo, so I'm assuming she's supposed to be Hispanic. But yeah, like a plus size Hispanic woman, like, why was that not a consideration made? Because, but then they did the same thing to Musa. Like, they got rid of Tekna entirely, and Tekna was like British, so she was still white. So they got rid of one of the white characters, but then they whitewashed two of the other women of color. Like, Musa, like I said, she's supposed to be South and East Asian. And I guess the girl that plays her is like half Singaporean or something like that, which I mean, I guess is better than nothing, but still, like, y'all couldn't find a single like East Asian actress to play her, not one. And then the sad part is, I saw on Twitter somebody mentioned Lyrica Okano, I think is what her name is. I will look this up. I didn't look it up. Like, I looked it up 2 days ago, but I don't remember. Which is the girl who played Nico in Marvel's Runaways, if you watch that on Hulu. And I was like, that would have been perfect casting for her. And so it's like, I don't understand why y'all are having so much trouble finding these people. But again, because I think they just make choices about who's allowed. So they're like, well, we have one fully black girl, so we can't have like other women of color too. So they got to be like either half white or mostly white. They have to be white passing, basically. And which is kind of like janky when you think about it. It's like, how is a company that touts so much, especially this year, they're touting so much about how diverse they are, but they won't even cast like 2 actual women of color in the same main cast? And it seems like they kind of just pick their battles because, like, I know in the year of our Lord 2020, they were gonna get flack if they whitewashed Aisha. They were gonna get a lot of flack for it. And I think they're getting a lot of flack for the other two too, but I guess that was like the safer option to whitewash, which is still pretty like suckish when you think about it. But yeah, like, I don't know what's going on over there at Netflix HQ. If you think about it, it's almost like they said like, oh, well, if we have her be plus size, we can't also have her be a woman of color. Like, no, that can't happen. We have to make her plus size, but then make her white. But then if we make her plus size, that'll make up for the fact that she's white now. Like, see how that don't make sense, Netflix? I hope y'all see how that don't make sense. I gotta say, I've seen the light. Like, people have been talking about them JDGLOW Galaxy shadows for years, and I finally bit the bullet and got one. I mean, I see it.
I mean.
Okay, so for the lower lash line, I took this Sephora colorful something or another, like eye pencil, and it's like a reddish color. So I took that on the lower lash line, and then I'm gonna go in with my Melt Vita palette, and I'm gonna use, I think, Mexicana, Mexicana, and then Pan Dulce, which is this orange down here. So, and then let's not even remember the fact that, like, how many characters they gotten rid of, which means how many storylines they can't do now. So from what I saw, you know, if you've watched the original show, you know there was Red Fountain and there was Cloud Tower, which are the other 2 schools outside of the school they go to, which is Althea. Red Fountain school for like the boys, and then so all the male characters basically came from Red Fountain, and then the witch school, which is Cloud Tower. And from what I've seen, like, the witches, so like the tricks, the 3, like Darcy, Stormy, Icy, like the bad witches, they don't even exist in this. So I'm like, so you basically can't do most of the plot like season 1 because like y'all got rid of the witches entirely. And then with Cloud Tower, I mean not Cloud Tower, with Red Fountain, this boys' school, it looks like they only have like Sky and Ribbon of all people. And so, like, the main boys were Sky, Brandon, Ribbon, and Timmy. So I guess since they got rid of Tekna, they just said like F Timmy altogether. So they got rid of Timmy since they got rid of Tekna. But then they also don't have Brandon, which leads me to believe, so they're not gonna do that whole like, spoiler alert, like switcheroo Prince storyline. So I'm assuming Sky's just gonna be the Prince from the get-go, because in the original story, like, Sky and Brandon, who's the squire, they switch places. And so like Brandon, the squire, is pretending to be Sky, the prince, and vice versa. Because Sky wants to know what it's like to be a real boy. Pinocchio, right? But Anyways, so I'm assuming they're not gonna do that, but then I'm like, well, why would you pick Ribbon of all people? Like, Ribbon is like he's such a butt. Like, for lack of a better word, I'm sorry, I'm like laughing and like crying at the same time. Let me like fix this. Hold on like 1 second. So it didn't occur to me while I was pulling things that my Melt Muerte palette actually probably would have been better for the look I was going for, because I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I don't always be thinking that far ahead when it comes to makeup. I usually just wing it, but I tried to be a little bit more organized this time, but it still didn't work. Anyways, so I went ahead and I added some of like Sangre and Velorio to the lower lash line because I was going for something a little bit more deep than what the other one was giving me out of the Vita palette. And then I also added a little bit of Duello to the outer corner because I just wanted it to be a little bit deeper than what it was. And then for the liner, I did the Suva Beauty Hydra liner in Sea Nymph. And then I also put some mascara on. And then I also, I did a lot because I realized I was done talking, but I wasn't even halfway done with the makeup, so I had to finish real quick. I also took this AnGLOWla highlighter from the Crayon case, and that's what I used on my cheeks. Same thing. And then I used the Mented Clay Too Much on as the blush. And then now I am going to do the lips, which I'm leaning towards a red lip. I kind of like, I want like a deeper red, but I don't think I have that because I recently decluttered and I don't know why I didn't keep the good reds. So anyways, so I'm gonna mix this NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream in Copenhagen with the cream liquid suede cream lipstick in Cherry Skies and see if that's gonna give me the red that I'm going for. So yeah, this is actually gonna be the completed look. Pretty happy with how it turned out. Unlike the new Netflix Winx Club, yeah, I probably, well, I'm not gonna say I won't watch it. If it gets like weirdly good reviews, I may check it out, but as of right now, I don't really plan on watching it. Because it's just a travesty to my childhood, and I don't know if my little like 2020, like the fragile state of my 2020 psyche can take that. So yeah, that's actually gonna wrap it up for this video. As per usual, I will leave everything that is on my face down there in the description box. You can follow me on Twitter at DejaVu2. You can follow me on Instagram at DejaVu. And you can also follow my podcast, Grossly Overqualified, found every other podcast you're found. 2020 was bad enough without it ending with Netflix ruining something as pure as the Winx Club. So in order to counteract whatever Netflix is doing, I am actually rewatching Winx Club from the beginning to cleanse my soul of the horrors and travesties thrust upon me through that Netflix trailer. Anyways, if you want to watch it, by all means, go ahead. If not, yeah, whatever. Anyways, bye!